Trunks and Bardock are some of the most iconic characters from the Dragon Ball franchise. They are both Saiyans and are introduced in the Dragon Ball Z story. We get introduced to Bardock first, in a TV special. This special was not made by Toriyama, but instead by Takao Koyama, who invented the concept of Bardock and wrote the story for Bardock, the Father of Goku special. Toriyama himself enjoyed this special and even cried while watching it, and decided to make it canon by including it within the manga. Now, how was Bardock portrayed within this special? Let's see. Bardock is introduced on planet Kanasa, a planet of beings that have the ability to see the future. He and his friends eliminate and destroy their entire race. While Bardock is resting, he gets attacked by one of the Kanasans, who grants him the ability to see the future. Now this is crucial to the story because it plays to the somber and tragic tone of the story of Bardock. He then gets healed and heads to another planet where he sees that his friends have cleared the planet for him. He then discovers that all his friends have been murdered, and his closest friend Tora informs him that it was Dodoria who did this. Enraged, Bardock is then ambushed by Dodoria, who attacks him and almost kills him. Bardock then heads to planet Vegeta to inform the Saiyans of what is going on, while getting flashbacks of Goku, his son, as an adult fighting Freeza. Bardock attempts to warn his race, but no one believes him. He heads directly to see if he can stop Freeza, in which Freeza eliminates planet Vegeta along with Bardock, while he sees visions of his son fighting Freeza, and the story ends. In this special, Bardock is presented as a ruthless Saiyan who kills for the pleasure of it, and conquers planets for Freeza, a true Saiyan warrior, and his end is tragic because we know despite Bardock being evil, we know how much worse Freeza is, and seeing him erase the Saiyan race is a tragic scene each time. And that is the Bardock we all know and love. Now, let's talk about Trunks. He was introduced at the start of the Android saga, appearing out of nowhere to stop the mighty resurrected Mecha Freeza, who was going to eliminate the Z fighters. He single-handedly takes out his men and then cleaves Freeza with a single sword slash, with the most badass theme in the series. He then quickly and swiftly dispatches of King Cold. He waits for Goku and informs him how he's attempted to fight the androids and lost his master in the process, in which we get a second special that explains the original timeline and what happened, and we see Trunks achieving Super Saiyan and then attempting to fight the androids alone, and almost dying. And in our current timeline, he trains with Vegeta and becomes the strongest Z fighter, and tries to prevent Cell from attaining perfection, which he was very close at, after which he attends the Cell games and fights the Cell Juniors, dying to Cell, and eventually getting revived and defeating both the androids that terrorized his future single-handedly, and then eliminating Cell and saving everyone in the process, becoming the hero he's always capable of. Now let's explore how these two characters changed for the worse. In Super, we'll begin with Bardock. Years after Z, when Toriyama decided to rewrite Super, he decided to change his mind about Bardock, the father of Goku, saying it was too serious and not my type of writing. So he rewrote the whole origin of Bardock in the manga, Dragon Ball Minus, which depicted Bardock as a caring and loving father who has a wife named Jine, and he senses that Freeza will destroy planet Vegeta out of nowhere. So Bardock then heads to stop him and dies in a similar way, albeit in a much less cooler way than he originally did. All this manga did was take away and ruin Bardock's story, not to mention it also actively ruined Goku's because it turned him into Superman. In the original, Goku was sent away without Bardock paying much attention to him, but in this version he sends him away fearing Freeza will destroy planet Vegeta, much like Superman's parents, which is a shame since Toriyama himself called out Toei for making Goku similar to Superman in the anime, and then he actively retcons and changes Goku's backstory to be Superman. After this terrible iteration of Bardock that changed his demeanor and design, we ended up getting two more Bardocks, one in the Broly film, which is slightly better than his DB- counterpart, but this is still suffering from the same issues that Minus introduced to his character, which are being caring and loving and sensing Frieza's plan out of nowhere. And finally the Granola arc Bardock, in the DBS manga, who saves the alien race which isn't part of his original character and then somehow defeats a being far more powerful than him, while also using the Dragon Balls to wish for his son's safety, further retconning and destroying Bardock entirely. Bardock was a ruthless evil Saiyan that raided and destroyed planets in Frieza's name, and didn't care about anyone, even his own son, except for his friends. The new Bardock Super made has an inferior design, is caring and loving, and instead of destroying and raiding planets, he protects them, which doesn't make any sense to the story whatsoever, and that is how Super completely ruined Bardock's character. Now we will talk about Trunks. Trunks in Super has two iterations, the DBS manga and the DBS anime, both being terrible. Firstly, his design. Trunks went from having purple hair, wearing Saiyan armor or a cool black top and arms and shoulders the size of boulders, to a blue-haired skinny wimp who dresses like a scamp and eats dog food, and loves a woman who is 50 years older than him, that being Mai from OG Dragon Ball, part of the Pilaf gang. This Trunks repeats the same arc he went through in Z, but without learning or growing along the way. He asks help from Vegeta and Goku, who both then agree to help him, only for Vegeta to beat his ass because Trunks taunts him for not being able to go Super Saiyan 3 like Goku.
There, Dad, you see? No need to hold back. You can spar with me at full strength. Use your Super Saiyan 3, like Goku. He's way too strong.
He then goes with them to save his future. In the manga, he fails because Black and Zamasu successfully destroy all humans, and in the anime he also fails because his timeline gets erased, and constantly throughout his fights he gets ridiculous ass pulls, aka Super Saiyan Rage, that puts him on par with Super Saiyan Blue despite not training. Also, he gains abilities that no one has taught him, such as the Spirit Bomb Sword, and in the manga, Solar Flare, which we know is impossible for Trunks to learn because the only people who can teach him those moves are dead. This results in Zeno being called and erasing the timeline, forcing Trunks to live in another timeline with himself and his 60-year-old girlfriend. This Trunks is a complete failure, having not trained nor earned any of his moments. In Z, he clearly earns his moments through scenes like Super Saiyan was earned in a special, and Super Saiyan Grade 2 was earned when he trained with Vegeta in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber for a year. While in Super, we see Trunks do zero training and get nonsensical power-ups that make him on par with Goku and Vegeta, who have both been training since the Buu Saga up to this point in Super, leaving the character to be a shell and waste of what he once was in both the manga and the anime. Overall, both Trunks and Bardock suffered from Super due to having their own specials and being as iconic as they are, with their own respective themes, to different characters entirely, changing Bardock to a caring figure that has the best senses in the world, and changing Trunks from a hero to a scamp who relies on others to save him and can't save himself or his people. It's a real shame these characters have been both reduced to shells of their former selves, but on the positive side, you can ignore their super iterations, since DBZ as a whole finishes wrapping up from OG Dragon Ball in a perfectly written story, with Bardock and Trunks staying intact to their characters. Thank you for watching.